Hello, sisters. Welcome to the season two of the Rising Feminine Online Temple, which is a 7 days initiation for women to journey back to their true essence. My name is Janita D'Souza, your feminine lifestylist, and also the keeper of this online temple, where I have gathered leading visionaries from around the world to join forces and initiate you in your authentic feminine. And a big part of my work as a feminine lifestylist is to invite women to indulge in everyday small, simple rituals so that you feel nurtured, nourished, and fulfilled amongst your daily busy lifestyle. So, as part of this online temple, I also invite you to create a sacred container. Maybe light a candle, grab your tea, journal, but give yourself the time to receive the offerings of this online temple space because each of the teachers present here have a very special message for you. Joining us today is Sierra Sullivan, whose work has also inspired me to cultivate a loving and enriching relationship with my yoni. And today she is revealing to us the secrets of the universe, a woman's guide to understanding the magic and mystery of her sacred portal of life. This is going to be a really juicy temple space, and I invite your entire presence in this space and join us, get involved, get engaged, ask questions, and we're here to support you. Before we begin and welcome Sierra, I want to read a little bit about her to you so that you get an idea of her sacred medicine. Sierra G. Sullivan is an empowerment mentor, ritualist, officiant, and sacred journey guide for women and couples who seek more truth and alignment in life, love, and relationship. She helps her tribe of awakened sisters to shed inauthentic layers and assist them in transforming struggle, self-doubt, and negative thought patterns into the ability to pleasurably and powerfully magnetize and manifest what they truly want in their lives using sacred practices, rituals, ceremony, and a whole lot of fun and play. Sierra, welcome.
Thank you. So good to be here in this beautiful virtual temple. I feel so yummy already.
Thank you. I'm so honored. I'm so honored to have you here. I've been following your videos and the work that you've been doing regarding this pussy reclamation itself. It's such a big movement, and your work has been truly inspiring for me and has been really healing. I'm in your Facebook group as well, and I read women's reviews. There's such a healing, transformational journey for each one of us women. And I'm so glad that you can offer this medicine to the women watching today. So I'm so excited for our conversation.
Aw, thank you. I really appreciate that. I'm so happy to be here.
So before we started our call, I did a quick meditation and pulled up a goddess oracle card just to tune in our energies. And I want to share that with you.
Nice.
And, Goddess Aracula.
Oh, coming right out of the flower.
Yeah. And she's the goddess of blossoming. And I was so excited to see this goddess because I was talking to you about those flowers, images that you have shared about the pussy in nature. Oh my God, and this goddess shows up for us.
You can't make it up, right? You just, things just,
yeah. And I'm not making it up. So I want to quickly check in with you if you feel any resonance with this goddess in this moment.
Well, the blossoming, it is what I feel is happening in regards to both the work that you mentioned that I'm being called forth more and more into. It really does feel like a blossoming because anything that I've done prior, which has been women's empowerment work, of course, I've been in this for over 15 years in some form or another. Nothing feels as precious and as sacred as this reverential pussy reclamation work. And it's been a slow blossoming, much like our pussies. And if I try to put any sort of masculine doing, containing, maybe even egoic structures into place to build it as a business, which I've, of course, dabbled in here and there, pussy says no. It really is about trusting the process. Don't overthink it, or don't try to put it into a box or make it be something other than what it wants to be. And that requires tremendous amount of listening and patience and availability. So that does really feel like, you can't rush a flower into bloom. It's going to blossom as it blossoms, as our flowers also are very true to that.
Oh, that's amazing. So for the women watching, I'm curious, they are also curious that they want to hear about your sacred journey of how you got into doing especially the pussy work.
Oh my gosh, it's a good story. As I mentioned, I've been in the women's empowerment field for 15 years. It's taken on many different incarnations. And it was 2 years ago, March 2016, that I felt very much at the top of my game as far as what I was offering. I had this amazing event called Fun, Fabulous, and Feminine, which says a lot about what the event was. And it was an incredible event, but it was built on a model that didn't feel super aligned. In order to create what I created, it took a lot more energy, effort, and, just grit to get a business to where I was. And I was feeling out of alignment as I was teaching femininity. I felt like, okay, I'm not really following my teachings 100%, maybe 85, 90%, but that 10% was a big 10%. And so I made a very powerful decision to pull the plug on that part of my business and go into basically a sabbatical, and to try to really figure out, like, how can I be 100% living my divine message of femininity and still supporting myself and bridging that gap of that 10%. And so luckily at the time, my husband Rano, who I think you'll all be meeting and hearing from along the way on this temple journey here, decided that he would, do some other work to support us to give me that space. And that's when the pussy work emerged. Like, I had been taking some courses with some of my mentors and learning a little bit more about how integral listening to our pussy, connecting with our pussy is for the divine feminine, the rising up of the divine feminine, the shifting into a more balanced world. But I had put it too much in the category of sexuality. So I had kind of pushed it off into like, oh, pussy sexuality. And that has, I'm a whole woman, guide. But in that spaciousness, as nature pours a vacuum, it was shown to me that you can't actually leave pussy out of the equation when you're dealing with the awakening of the divine feminine. Like, it's just not possible. It is the seat of the feminine soul, essentially. And so in the couple months after that event, I had a friend who was very much into, doing a lot of pussy work. She came and visited me. I live in upstate New York in the summer, so I spend my summers, away and in the country and out of the city, which is typically I'm in LA otherwise. And she came to visit me, and she was like nudging me about doing something along this way. And I was like, no. I get the power of pussy, but I don't have any, again, I'm the whole woman. It's not just about the pussy. But as she sort of saw something in me that I didn't see and, encouraged it out of me, I ended up having an experience a couple weeks later after she visited me, where I was I had created this beautiful red tent temple for a retreat that I was leading with women. And then the third night the women left and we had another retreat for couples. And that night, for whatever reason, I was just inviting women into this beautiful temple. And I kept saying, if you want to get your pussy worship, come get your pussy worship. It was something that was overcoming me, because I was like, what does that even, there's a lot more to the story. But the bottom line is, that evening, as I was sort of inviting women into this beautiful temple to be worshipped, in the sense of just be honored and revered, one woman said yes to my invitation. And I thought, oh my gosh, I need to, what am I doing here? But it was divinely guided. And I ended up taking, right, just how these things happen, at least for me. And I ended up taking this woman through the complete, what is now what I call my temple of divine radiance, where I took this woman through a complete reclamation ritual, which I didn't even realize was a reclamation ritual. But as we get halfway through this beautiful ritual that I was being channeled to support her and just revering her pussy, I come to find out she actually had some scar tissue on her inner labia. as a result of some trauma that she had experienced. And I find this out, and I'm like, oh my gosh, now here I am in the middle of this worship ritual, and now I'm finding myself to needing to get this woman on the other side and reclaim her pussy, and know that the story that got her here is equally as powerful as how it's going to get her to the next phase of her life. And it completely opened her up into new love and connection with her pussy, and a massive amount of trauma healing. And after that experience, I realized I was like, it's pretty clear I'm meant to be doing this work, because 2 days earlier, I'd been leading women on this retreat, helping them, evolving them, but nothing in that 2-hour ceremony, everything changed for that woman. And there I'd spent 2 days with these other women, and a lot had changed, but not in the same rapid fire as that reclaiming ritual had brought to this other woman. And I thought, my goodness, I had this whole time, 15 years or 14 years, whatever it was back then, I didn't even know how important, if we're not connected to our sacred yoni, to our portal of life, to our flower, to our pussies, we can't actually get as far as we want to go in the realm of the divine feminine. We just can't. And so now I'm clear that that's the work that I must do. And every woman has some sort of story, trauma, shame. Doesn't have to be a physical trauma, but there's something that she believes about herself that keeps her from fully honoring that part of herself. And so now I'm just on a mission to have women fall madly in love with this majestic, beautiful, incredible, potent part of ourselves. So
wow, yeah, that's a reclamation story for yourself too.
For sure. Oh my goodness. Yeah. I mean, we just don't know what we don't know. And because this part of ourselves, excuse the noise, it's in a coffee shop. This part of ourselves has been either overly sexualized or overly shamed. And there's not a lot of happy medium. And I'm realizing there's a big gap there, and that my calling now is to fill in that gap, because the moment a woman can really see the beauty of her sacred flower and see it as her own. I mean, what has been emerging, maybe you're going to ask this, I might be jumping ahead here, but since I've been doing these reclamation rituals, I've been awakening to just like palmology, like there's symbols in our hands or symbols in our iridology, face reading. Same goes for the pussy. There's a woman's life story is in the design of her pussy, and that's been showing itself to me. So now I'm like, okay, well, for a woman not just to know her pussy, but then know that there's a story in there, and there's information for her, and there's power and things like that. So now I do pussy oracle readings. So it's been this, like I said, a blossoming of this calling, and it just keeps unfolding. I'm like, what's next? It's kind of crazy, kind of strange, but actually feels really true and on point for me.
Wow, sounds like the powerful work. So let's go into today's topic of the secrets of the universe. And I'm really curious to ask you about, what do you mean when you say universe?
Besides being a really fun play on words.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is a whole universe of knowledge and information. I mean, if we think about it, pussy is literally, it's a portal of life. Every single human being on this planet was designed to come to and through pussy, right? One way or the other. Even if there was a cesarean section, it was they still got impregnated through this portal.
Yeah.
That's really important. I don't think a lot of us, like, we get that, we know that, but do we really, really understand that from like both an esoteric and an embodied perspective, how powerful that makes that part of our bodies? It's a true portal. And on the other side is a whole different universe. And the more we look, because we're not looking, we haven't been looking. We might be curious and taking a few peeks here and there and whatnot, but really as humanity, that we're not really looking, and we're missing out. It's like looking down to a future. I mean, this sounds a bit wacky at times. When I say it, I'm like, oh, kind of weird. But what I'm starting to see, because I am looking, and the women that I guide are looking, the information that's there is information you're not going to find anywhere, because there is, I mean, the womb itself is like creation. It's like outer space. It's inner space, outer space. The portal to it and through it has tons of like just so much power and potency and pleasure. And then the outside, which is, you know, the design of the vulva and whatnot, also has so much information. And if we just take the time, worlds open up, literally universes, you name it, opens up to us, but we got to look. It's like a secret passage that we has been there the whole time, but nobody ever thought to go through it, quote unquote.
Yeah, and I remember my first time when I was told by my teacher to have a look at my yoni when we were in a Jadic initiation ceremony. I was terrified. I was like, no, what's there to look? I mean, yeah, I see that, you know, but I was terrified to actually see, and I couldn't hold the mirror to. I was just so, I don't know. It was like everybody was watching me look.
Right. Exactly.
Like I was blushing and I was ashamed and I was kind of guilty, and all of these emotions were so strong, and I didn't make it. I didn't look, and after 2-3 days, I remember I got curious. I was like, a little bit. So I kept pushing, but the first time was really difficult. So I would like your experience on this when women share this with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, your story is not untypical, unfortunately, right? Like even like all of the emotions that you just described come from even just the thought of looking, right? Like, what does that say about our culture, our society, that this is our body part? Like, we're not going to be ashamed to look at the back of our hand. And is that just because everybody can see it? You know, like what is really the difference? And yet we let other people look. We have lovers look. We have doctors that look. We have, you know, who knows who else is looking. Yeah. But we're not even looking. And the shame that you mentioned, the scare, the fear, the like, what am I going to see? And then, of course, a lot of women have a belief about how it should look.
Exactly. That was my fear. Yeah.
Exactly. Like, what if it doesn't look like what it's supposed to look like? Well, what's supposed to look like? Do you expect every flower to look the same? Do you expect every face to look the same? No, everyone's going to be as unique as they are. And that's something that we're not really talking about in a world that values very superficial kinds of beauty and things like that. Of course, we're going to have this show up in the realm of, you know, pussy shaming. And so, and the fact that we're just not looking, period. Like, if we just looked a little more, we'd all know that they're all very different and they all have their own unique things. And there's just no two pussies that are alike. For real. I have not seen it yet. I mean, you know, I'm still just barely 2 years into this level of my work, but we're not looking. And so every woman, there is going to be, not saying for every woman, but for most women, there's going to be some intense feelings that go along with the first exploration. And that's why it feels really important for me, because I make it very lighthearted while also very reverent. And so women feel very safe in my presence, and they feel very held, and they feel like, oh my God, this whole thing I've been making such a big deal. Like, it's been such a big deal. And now they're like, it's amazing. Look at that. And then the whole Secrets of the Universe presentation that I have that we can send people to after this is looking at it from a new lens, right? Taking it out of the realm of sexuality, because I think sexuality is there's just so many layers and healing that has to do with our sexuality as a species. So, you know, if you can remove that long enough just to look out of curiosity, just to see from a, like, you know, people look to nature all the time. Like, look at beautiful nature. You see pussies in trees, you see pussies in fruit, you see pussies in flowers, and we don't think anything of it. But the moment we turn it in on us, which we're nature too, you know, it's equally as beautiful, but we haven't made that leap. And so it's really about just opening it up, like just blowing the lid right off and being like, this is an amazing part of ourselves. We've got to be looking, and it's very natural to look. We've just been, you know, the patriarchy systems have moved us so far away from it for various reasons, but now we're back and we're in a place where we can look and we can be empowered and we can feel good, and it's not dirty and it's not sexual. It's actually quite beautiful.
Yeah, and that I loved about your work is the reverence that you bring to the word pussy itself, because, you know, it's a slang word, pretty much.
Yeah.
And many men like to use it for weaker men, and women like to not use it.
Exactly. I know. It can be an edgy word, although it's becoming more and more popular in the vernacular of, especially this country in America
Yeah.
here. You know, unfortunately, the president of the United States put the word on the map, and that's, unfortunately how he did it. But the beautiful thing is that now it's on the map, and now you can use it, and women are reclaiming it with the pink pussy hats and all the ways that we're stepping toward it being not so slang. And I love that, because that's a reclamation, a full-on reclamation. Not to mention, Regina Thomas-Schauer, Mama Gina, her book that came out by the same name, Pussy, A Reclamation. It just feels like pussy is like here, and she's letting us know, and she wants us to be in right relationship, and she's not going anywhere. She's out. It's like she's out of the closet.
Exactly. So I would like to know from you, from your experience of working with women who go through this process of pussy reclamation, what has changed? How different is their life from that point on?
That's a beautiful question. I feel like when you can release the experience of that shame and become, that's not the right word, but like normalize this part that you didn't even, I'll say it this way, like living in Los Angeles, for example, takes a lot of bandwidth because there's just a lot of frenetic energy. And when you move out of Los Angeles, you don't have to deal with that frenetic energy anymore. And so you have that bandwidth to give to something else, right? The bandwidth that needed to survive in a city. So imagine all the bandwidth that's going towards a woman's subconscious shame. And when you release that shame, because it becomes this normalized thing, and actually a lot of women fall madly in love with themselves at that level. And so then imagine all that energy that comes back to them to be able to direct in any way that they want. It can go back to the relationship, it can go back to their mothering, it can go back to their careers, it can go back to whatever it is. So it literally is a free, it like takes the shackles off and frees them. Now, then from there, of course, they can make massively more empowered decisions about how they want to, connect people to their pussy, or the choices they make around sexuality, or the choices they make around their health, or even the way that they feel walking down the street when they know how beautiful what they have is, because it's unique to them, and the stories that it has to tell, which is, again, another deep, powerful thing. Like there's one woman, you're like, I got a Buddha in my pussy, or, I've got a sacred redwood tree in my pussy, and all of a sudden they know the meaning of that, and they can walk differently in the world because they're empowered, not just from a place of knowing how profoundly different it is than what they might have thought, but then also knowing that their design is their story, and they can live into that story more confidently. So it really does change a lot for them.
Yeah. And how can a woman start listening to her pussy, or start cultivating that relationship with her pussy to begin with from zero?
I personally found it quite difficult to develop the listening connection until I was able to see her. And that's basically how this work emerged for me is, I'd taken some of the School of Womanly Arts workshops, and it was all about listening to her. And I'm like, well, I think I'm hearing her, but I'm not sure, but I don't even know what she looks like. And mirror doesn't really do it. And so when I took a picture for the first time and then was able to like zoom in and see her, then I had a whole different relationship. I'm also a visual learner, so that may just be me. But I found that having that visual connection, which we don't often get, hardly ever, opens up a whole new awareness, which then has a listening be deeper. So that's, I would say, knowing who she is, what she looks like, knowing what you got down there, opens up a whole new way of listening to her. That being said, I'm finding that women actually are listening more than they think, but because they think they're supposed to be listening in a certain way or certain frequency, then they're missing the fact that they're already listening. Right?
Okay.
Right? Like women are way more connected to their pussies than they realize. But to establish that connection, it takes sort of like recognizing your intuition, because really listening to her is following your yumminess, following the thing that lights you up, following your turn on, following your pleasure, following And I mean pleasures of life, not just sexual pleasure at all. And so when we physically tune in and mentally tune in to what's going to light us up, I like to call it the like the pussy wet work, right? That, like, when, especially for all you entrepreneur women, if it's not wet, it might not be working. How can you make it wetter? Right? How can you make it juicier? Where is the juice lacking in what it is that you're doing? Because if it's not juicy and joyful, then there needs to be a different approach, or maybe you have to let that thing go altogether. And I think that's where women could really benefit from tuning in and noticing, do you feel turned on by what it is that you're creating, by what it is that you're doing? If you're not, how can you? And then listen deeper, like, what is it that will turn you on? And it's little simple questions like that is the pussy guidance.
Yeah. And on this note, I also want to touch the topic of using products that are considered to be hygienic for the pussy that are available in the market. But I see that it's so much of rubbish around, like even the sanitary pads, the tampons, and things like that. I think women have to really be careful here. So,
Yes.
share something about that.
Yeah, that is true as well. I think that, we have a whole litany of ways that we've bought into the hygiene market, and we just don't know what we don't know, right? We're doing our best to just deal with whatever we need to deal with when it comes up, and I haven't even realized that some of this has been indoctrinated. And so, like, we think she's supposed to smell a certain way, or she's supposed to be this a certain way. And again, it's about really checking back into, well, does this feel good to be doing? Or am I doing this because somebody told me I should? And so learning to even just connect with her and connect with the different smells. Like, a major thing that I would say is tracking one cycle through some sort of tracking methodology or calendaring for several months in a row is a completely different relationship that women can build with that part of ourselves, because there are cycles you're going to see with your fluid. And the more that you can see the fluid cycles, the more you see the naturalness of that. And the more you feel the less shame you feel, the less shame you feel. And so then you're not going to buy into the things as much, because you know that your body's just doing what it does at the same time every month, or give or take. And then it becomes exciting because it's your body doing what it's supposed to be doing versus you not knowing what your body's supposed to be doing, and then feeling shame or whatever, and then going out and buying into a product like a douche or something like that doesn't really help and actually can mess with the pH and things like that. So, I mean, everybody's got to do their own research, but I think just the more we can be tuned in to ourselves, and especially our cycles, the more power and information we have to then feel better about what it is that's actually going on.
Yeah, you're so correct. For me, growing up in India, my story with the pussy was it's something dirty, so I couldn't connect with it in a sacred way right from very early age. Well, it took me entire life to get there. But it always I was always amused by the fact that when you go to a pharmacy or a supermarket somewhere, you always see women's hygiene products, but you never see men's hygiene products. And that made me always think that, okay, there's something wrong with us women, and the men's penis and his sexual organs are like to be, praised and worshipped and, oh yeah, whatever. But we need to take care of our sexual organs through external products, which was such a myth.
Yeah, it is so funny how, but we can point to the beauty industry, we can point to the diet industry. There's so many things that tell us the solution is outside of ourselves, which there's solution to what problem are we even talking about, but yeah, really, it sends a huge message. And even just like you just said, noticing products, and there's no products for men. And it's funny because men are, in my opinion, a little stinkier than us. God bless them, our smell is quite yummy, actually, and it has a purpose.
It does. So, Sierra, I know you have a beautiful homework for the women watching, so that they can start their journey of discovering the secrets of the universe. So would you like to share that with the women watching, please?
Yeah. So, ladies, I invite you to begin your own inner reclamation, which can start with a baby step. I'm giving you a little baby step because I know that this is requires some hand holding for many of us. And so I invite you to just begin to notice the connection between pussy and nature. And so next time you're out, anytime where there's trees, or maybe even you're in the kitchen and you're cooking or putting out a fruit platter or even arranging flowers for yourself, I want you to notice where you see the design that feels the most like a pussy, a yoni, and take it in. Like, just take a moment to look. Right? You're not looking at yourself, you're looking at nature. But to start to notice and see the uniqueness of each one you find. You might even find it in a knot hole on a table in the wood. Like, once you start tuning in to the frequency of that shape and that look, you're going to start to see it everywhere. And you're going to go, wow, this is amazing. Now, obviously, you can see the actual slides that I have. You can go to secretsoftheyoniverse.com and take that journey with me. But I just invite you to experiment in your life and put on your I call it the Pussy Oracle goggles, and just start to see how many pussy-like symbols are everywhere in nature. And how beautiful you find them, even when they might be in the ugly version of like a tree knot or something like that. See if you can find the beauty, find the connection. It's going to just open your heart in a way that is so simple and so profound.
Yeah, such a beautiful homework to, start noticing, start becoming aware that this design exists around us. I mean, any flowers you take, you see
Oh
that.
yeah.
And also share with us your free gift. And I actually love this free gift, and I would highly recommend women to sign up and get this version. But I would love you to speak a little bit more about it.
Thank you. So I created a little online class so that you could have this handheld walkthrough, and it's called Secrets of the Yoniverse, and secretsoftheyoniverse.com. And basically it's about an hour or so of a class that you can log in and get, and I'll take you through the wonderland of what I just described, and you'll see all sorts of beautiful imagery that is very similar in nature to our divine portal of life. And you'll see a few real portals of life in there too. But I can guarantee, literally guarantee, that if you have anything that you're working on to break through, or you want to break through in this area and find the beauty in the female genitalia, check out this class, because you will never be the same again. You will see the beauty like you've never seen before. And maybe you'll need to go deeper, and maybe there's some healing that it'll bring you into awareness around. But I know that it'll shift your entire mindset from where you may have shame or fear or whatever to curiosity, at least, and intrigue, and a little bit of an awe-inspiring journey. It just, you can't help but feel different when you watch this. So that would be a good first step for all of you.
Yeah, and I can't just stop talking about it. I really love the imagery, and I was so inspired. I remember after watching the video presentation, when I went to bed, I just felt so sorry for my pussy for not connecting with it. And I was like, oh, I kept my hand on it and on her, and I went to bed and I slept. I just felt
I love that, right? All of a sudden, exactly. That's most often when I actually take women through a reclamation process. The first thing I'm like, what do you have to say to her now? And that first thing is, I'm sorry that I was so disconnected from you this whole time.
Yeah.
And I'm, like a renewed vow to be in partnership with this sacred part of ourselves. And that's so beautiful. So I love hearing that. Yay.
So ladies, go experience it for yourself. So Sierra, thank you so much for being here, sharing your medicine, your presence, and the generosity to share this video presentation with everyone watching. I'm so glad.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
I also want to quickly, before we close, ask you a question that I'm asking all the teachers in this online temple space is, what does rising feminine mean to you in a line or two in this moment?
Oh, it's so good. It means to me that we're ready, we're able, we're stronger than ever before, we're curious, we're doing the deep amount of exploration and excavation needed in ourselves to bring the softer, more gentle, more magical, more majestic parts of ourselves forward. We're removing ourselves from this belief system that told us that we had to work really hard and prove ourselves in the world. And we're starting to march to the beat of our own rhythm as women, and trusting in our cycles, and trusting in our flow, and trusting in our guidance, and listening to our bodies, and connecting in sisterhood, and elevating women within the sisterhood of women more than we ever have. And that is so powerful, because that has been a missing piece for a very long time, and it's massively, rapidly shifting. And of course, the next frontier is loving on our pussies, and then we'll rise even higher. So, so it's good. It's happening.
It's happening. Exciting times.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much, Sierra.
Mm-hmm.